Howdy Moz fans, and welcome to another edition of Whiteboard Friday. This week we're going to chat about how Google might be analyzing and evaluating all the quality and value and ranking signals, rank worthiness of your content. So Google was kind enough to confirm something that as SEOs we've probably known for a very long time, which is that the two factors most commonly found ranking web pages from Google are indeed content signals and link signals, which that's not a big surprise to anybody. But in light of that, we talk a lot about links. Links obviously have a tremendous amount of importance. Content does too, but it's gotten massively more sophisticated. And so I thought we'd dive into some of the ways that Google can analyze on-page content signals that may not just be the simplistic ones we're used to from the past. So first off, number one here. If I search for something like best granola brands, what I find is this page ranking first. It's from Eat This Supermarkets. Granted, your mileage may vary, right? You might get a different search result given your geo or that kind of thing. But and the page is called The World's 10 Healthiest Granolas. Now, Google's looking at a bunch of things here, but one of the things that they are obviously looking at and still looking at, very much so, is things like keyword matches. And not just raw, pure matches, although that's important too, but synonyms, word uses, intent matching. Essentially, Google's trying to parse out, all right, when someone searches for best granola brands, they could mean the best meaning the most flavorful. They might mean the ones that are most popular. They might mean the ones that are healthiest, or maybe some combination of all these qualities. And in this case, they've taken healthiest, right? Healthiest was in fact a bunch of the top 10 results. So I think Google is actually saying, hey, maybe in the world of granola, best and healthiest have some synonymity, right? Have some overlap, some confluence. Perhaps a lot of people who are searching for best are searching for healthiest in the world of granola, that is. And so they put that there. When you're thinking about evaluating your content, we've done this for years and years in the SEO world, but we should be thinking about how do my keywords match up, particularly my title and my headline and the first bits of my content. Okay, number two, topic associations, related term and phrase matches, co-occurrence, keyword co-occurrence. It is the case that if Google sees that a lot of the time when words like best granola brands or best granola appear on the web, they also see words and phrases like healthy. They also see words like nutritious. They see words like fat and sugars. They see calories. If they're seeing these words frequently associated with this other topic, they're going to essentially reward content that uses those terms and phrases intelligently, and they might actually penalize pages that don't have them. Google might, for example, say, gosh, you know, it's very odd to have a page about granola that nowhere on the page mentions nuts, because we frequently see nuts and granolas mentioned together, and so that is a peculiar one to us. Or it could be the case that when they see granola brands, they almost always see a comparison of things like calories and fat and sodium and sugar. And so when they see a page that doesn't have those elements, that's also peculiar to them. You'll remember a few weeks ago on Whiteboard Friday, I talked about related topics and terms and how you can actually use those and how there's a few tools to go out and do that. Things like the related topics tool inside Moz Analytics now. All right, so we know that Google does those types of evaluations. We also know that Google can do things around basically the broad page, not an individual word or phrase, but content length, comprehensiveness, reading level, right? Sentence and paragraph format, all those kinds of things. If they see that, gosh, you know, it's the case that when people are searching for best granola brands, they don't really want like a long read type of article like you'd find in a magazine or a long form newspaper or a long form article. They're really looking for that kind of broken up, like here's the top 5 or here's the top 10, and they frequently feature, you know, an image and then some analysis. Great, that's the format that people are looking for when they want those best of types of lists. That's the type of thing that we're going to put in the search results. And if you follow a different sort of format, it may be more difficult for you to prove to Google, hey, we belong in these types of search rankings, search listings as well. That's also true for reading level. It could be the case that if you're if your audience is searching for highly scientific terms or very niche specific terms, maybe there's a lot of words and phrases in there that are more complex. And if you're, likewise, you have a term or phrase that's targeting much more of a layman audience or an amateur audience, well, maybe you have much less sophisticated word usage and phrasing and sentence structure, and that's the right way to play it. So again, you got to play to your audience and what Google thinks your audience is. A good way to do this, just like related topics, you got to analyze what's in the top 10, top 20 results. All right, number 4. I went back and forth, and so I have to keep sliding around here. Number 4, brand name, site name. I know you're like, wait, what? That's content? Yeah. These things, brands and site names, can build up associations, topical associations, about whether they have authority in their space or not on a particular subject. And that could apply not just as a brand as a whole or a site as a whole, but actually from a site section or subfolder, even subdomain, or a tag, right? A section, like a subsection of tags that a blog or an article site may have a bunch of a news site. That could play into it as well. And so as Google notices these things, right, they say, Eat This Supermarkets is often associated with things where they have a lot of information about granola in particular, or about healthy foods, of which granola is a subcategory. And in fact, this is in their weight loss category, which is, in Google's opinion perhaps, a very popular category, a very authoritative one, especially when it comes to the topic of granola or granola brands, right? So as they connect up, make these semantic associations between words and phrases, between topics, between websites, they can then sort of say, you know what, we think this site or this particular subfolder of this site or this tag or subdomain of this site belongs here more than another site might. So yes, it could be the case that Wikipedia is a more authoritative overall place, but when it comes to the topic of best granola or healthy granola, you know what? We're going to put Eat This Supermarkets near the top. Number 5, visuals and non-text content. I could mean, you could talk about video or audio or interactive elements or tools, calculators, all that type of stuff. Google can look at those features and start to associate them with something. If you search for example, mortgage rates or calculate my loan or population density by state, Google may be looking for those interactive tools or elements. Likewise, if you're searching for the name of a song, Google might say, hey, you know what, we should look for pages that contain video or audio. If you're looking for a particular topic that Google's associated with podcasts, they may try and pull back audio content. So all of those kinds of things can also play a role in how your content is evaluated. Number 6, this one is unusual, but Google has talked about it actually publicly. Last year they did a whole piece with NPR around how they may look for truthfulness, accuracy, and validity of information in content. And in order to do that, they have sort of a subset of sites that they know and trust, that they pull data from, and they establish these sort of knowledge components like, yes, we know that climate change is real and that it's man-made. And so that we want to make sure that when people are searching for things like, is climate change real or are humans the cause of climate change, we want to make sure that we actually return accurate results, not necessarily the most popular results, because you can imagine there are people who don't believe in the science of it, and therefore, they influence the search results by linking to different things, that sort of stuff. And so that bubbles to the top. Maybe it's very hot right now. It's election season in the United States for those of you who have been in a cave on Mars with your fingers in your ears. I don't blame you. And that could be the case where Google has actually said with certain types of queries, I don't know that best granola brands would fall under this, but they call them YMYL, or your money or your life types of queries. This is things like filing for your taxes, or knowing how much exercise to get, or checking in on a medical condition, right? And researching those types of things. In those cases, Google has said we need very accurate information, we need it to be verifiable. And so they may look at the content and say, gosh, this is probably not the case, like I said, with granola, but 18 Rabbits granola, we have looked in our database of content And nobody else says that it has 280 calories. At least none of the sites that we trust say that it has 280 calories per serving. Therefore, we're going to stop trusting this particular resource and push it down in the rankings and push up something else that matches against the knowledge that we think we have from the trusted sites. This could be very important if you're trying to rank for these YMYL types of queries. And who knows, in the future it could extend to other types of things, maybe even the world of granola calorie counting. Last one we'll talk about today, this is certainly not completely comprehensive, but we'll talk about it today, is phrase and sentence structure evaluation. So Google has talked about this very publicly with regards to RankBrain recently, where they talk about RankBrain interpreting a query, right? Essentially saying, hey, best granola brands, we know from that you're looking for particular types of information. You probably want a listing of multiple granola brands, not just one. You're probably looking for some sort of evaluation criteria. We know that you are looking for brand names of granola, not particular recipes of granola. So they do query interpretation, and they're very intelligent about being able to parse that. They're also very intelligent about being able to parse out sentence meaning. So in this case, for example, let's say I did a search for sugar-free, best sugar-free granola brands. Now, Google might in the past have said, oh, you know what? This resource contains the word sugar. It has a bunch of mentions of sugar, and it has a few mentions of sugar-free types of granola, and so therefore we're gonna rank it. As opposed to saying, wait a minute, I think they're looking specifically for something that a list of granola brands with no sugar in them at all, and therefore we need a different resource for this. A Google representative used the example of how to complete Super Mario Brothers without, a cheat code or something like that, or without skipping a level, that kind of thing. So, these types of query interpretations on the search side and then on the content side can both be happening in Google's evaluation of content. Like I said, this is not everything that Google looks at, but these are a bunch of more advanced types of ways that Google can be analyzing content than what we might ordinarily think of. And if we're looking at content that we've produced and we say, gosh, it's got a lot of links, it's doing good keyword targeting, but it doesn't seem to rank. What am I missing? You probably could think about adding these content evaluation factors that Google is almost certainly looking at, as well as others, to your list of things to try and determine why you might not be ranking, how you could rank better. All right, everyone. Hope you've enjoyed this, and we'll see you again next week for another edition of Whiteboard Friday. Take care.